What is going on, friends? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. Here we have Dawson Sedivec. He is an NAIA hammer thrower. Went there to play football, picked up throwing, fell in love with it. Love to see that kind of stuff because throwing is like the best sport in the world, in my opinion, and I'm not biased whatsoever. So, um, yeah, he's signing up for some off-season throws programming to help him learn how to do 3 or 4 turns. He's been doing mostly, I guess, entirely 2 turns in competition. So I think it's a really good strategy, uh, working with me in the off season to help develop your technique when you otherwise might not have access to coaching from your collegiate coach, or if you need help figuring out a certain problem. All right, so if you're in that situation, hit me up. Go to my website gripandrip.co. Shoot me a message if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer and see what I can do to help you guys achieve your goals, because that's why I do it. I want to help you guys out. So without further ado, let's get into this video and take a look. So Dawson, you sent me 2 videos. One was a 2-turn, and this is the 3-turn. Obviously, with 3-turn being the focus, I want to break this stuff down. I don't know how recent these videos are, but it doesn't really matter because I imagine this probably still looks similar. So um, honestly, it's not bad. There's just a little bit of up and down and a little bit of tightness, and it's just, I mean, if this is your first year throwing, then you just got to work some things out, and it's going to look a little rough, but it's really not terrible. So yeah, the biggest thing is just getting down in the legs a little bit more and learning to turn with the hammer. So that's with your throws program that I'm writing. This very first one, I'm going to include a lot of turn drills, stick drills, basic turning drills, stuff like that to get you to feel the hammer, to get used to turning with the hammer, to help kind of build the foundation of your technique, which I think is what everybody should be doing on the off season, whether or not you know how to do 3 turns, 4 turns, whatever. A lot of these multi-turn drills are very useful for developing technique. So let's break it down further. But basically, start position, I think the step up is fine. Like I said, I think the focus should be getting down in the legs a little bit more, straightening out, or not, bending the left leg a little bit more. I'm talking from your perspective, from the thrower's perspective. So your left leg has a tendency to straighten out as the throw goes on. But basically, the winds themselves, there's nothing really terribly wrong when you're a beginner and you're learning how to wind the hammer. You just want to make sure the winds are big, your hands are up and out and away from the body, and you can feel the hammer around you all 360 degrees. There's no disconnection where you lose tension from the hammer or where you get pulled forward or break posture or anything like that. So, and it doesn't look like that really happens to you. Like you're a pretty big kid, so like you should have the strength to handle this stuff, no problem. But on the step up, looks fine. Like I said, hands up, out, away from the body. It looks maybe a little bit tight in the arms. You could relax them a little bit more, and like I said, feel the hammer. Step up, facing the back of the circle, maybe a little bit too open, honestly. Maybe turn back to face the right side, 270 degrees being this way, 0 being in front of you, 180 being out into the sector, and 90 degrees being over here. Face 270 a little bit more, especially in the first wind, which you do, facing the right. Turn the shoulders back. You could turn your shoulders back a little bit more, and then be careful of this left elbow coming too high. I think this is kind of a weak position. Makes it hard to find your balance because as you can see, you kind of come around and kind of the chest comes down with that elbow. So you want to keep that chest up and not let that left elbow come so high. You want it to kind of come more kind of in front of the face rather than up overhead. So watch that extension through that left shoulder, but that's really splitting hairs there. But otherwise, yeah, keep facing the right side a little bit more. It doesn't need to be perfectly to 270, but maybe like 315 degrees, so like 45 degrees before 0. And then that'll help you connect a little bit earlier, because otherwise you can see the same thing here. Left elbow comes high, you're facing, front almost, facing 0. And this is kind of like, if you think of like doing an ab rollout essentially. So this takes a lot of core stabilization. It takes just a lot of strength, which I'm sure you have, but it's not the most efficient. You have to use a lot of energies to find stability. Your hips can kind of shift around a lot. And then with this left elbow coming so high, it takes a long time to open up and really connect with the hammer, which you do open back up. But so just limit this this opening in the second one as the ball goes behind you. Face that right just a little bit more to help you find some tension, maybe connect the hips a little bit better. And then you come through on entry, relatively connected, facing 0. You can see a little bit of the head peeking around, not a huge deal though. Hands are up and out, a little bit of tension through the arms, but it's not bad. And then you do shift back well into the throw. You're coming off that heel, so 3 heel turns, which is kind of a tough thing to do, honestly. I think to start a heel turn on a 3-turn throw is it's a challenging thing to do, which is weird because, you know, it's like a lot of beginners do that. So it's a hard thing to manage, but good shift back here. As you can see, your torso is kind of shifting backwards towards 180. Left side's peaking a little bit, but it's not bad. You're more or less with the hammer. You can see hips, legs, torso, shoulders. The only thing that's really going ahead is the head, and then there's just a little bit of disconnection here, but that's kind of natural, I'd say. And then you can see you start to lift your hands up a little bit, it looks like. So that's a little bit of tension there. Like I said, you can see the left arm, the right arm a little bit. You can see you lift up with the hands. So relax the hands, let the ball go long around the left. Just let the ball take its natural path. And you see the left foot start to open up earlier, and you see this right foot kind of lag behind. So you got to, especially on like a heel turn, you really got to get this right leg going with the hammer. So you got to kind of trust it, like get some energy, get some impulse into it. Just kind of cast the hammer out and around to 180, and then get that right foot, right leg, right knee, right hip, whatever it might be, chasing the hammer. Whole right leg. I like to think about the right hip towards the hands, or the right hip towards the ball, or the right hip towards the high point. Just get that right leg turning more, because you can see there's a little bit of break here where this left leg opens, this right leg falls behind. So, like I said, it's just a matter of learning how to turn with the hammer, your whole body, left side, right side, upper, lower, all together with the hammer. And then you see this left leg extension start to happen. Left leg straightens out. You're pretty much standing almost straight up. Hips are underneath you though. Posture is decent. It's just this left leg is a little bit too high. So you're kind of up. And you're going to see you kind of float a little bit. Foot comes down. You don't complete a total rotation. You're kind of stepping too forwards towards the sector. So that's a matter of not thinking about stepping around, but rather letting the ball go around more. Being more patient with the hammer. And then you catch. So the problem here is you rise with the hammer, so your left leg straightens out as your hammer goes up, and then you're also going to drop. So as you see the hammer starts to drop, you also drop. That's going to be a break in tension. It's going to be harder to feel the tension. It's going to be easier to get pulled over and lose your posture. So you got to kind of be opposite of the ball almost, or at the very least stay one level. Hips should be one level throughout almost the entire throw. It'll make things a lot easier on you. But left heel comes down, catch. Hips look more or less underneath you. You're trying to turn that right foot. You can see a little drift forwards here in the chest because your right foot is too staggered. Your right foot is too much in the direction of the sector. So with that, it's going to be hard to get this right hip up into the throw. So this left side's just probably going to pull more, and you're going to it's going to be hard to, like I said, complete a full rotation yet again. So we'll see as the throw goes on. Yeah, you're missing. So like right here, when you can start to see yourself kind of come forwards, or at least just be kind of stagnant, you need to think about working your hips up into the throw and leaning backwards more into the throw. As you can see, you just come down just a little bit, get to it just a little bit. And then from there, you can see a little bit of tension in this left arm. And then this left leg straightens out again. Right hip's trying to get up into the throw, but it's hard because, like I said, it's just this like staggered stance. You know, think about swinging a baseball bat, or swinging a baseball bat, swinging a golf club. You know, your right foot and left foot need to be at least in the same line. Or if you're talking more baseball, your left foot is actually behind a little bit on the, or I should say your right foot's a little bit in front of your left leg. That way you can get your hips up into it. Or if you're throwing a baseball or anything that involves rotational transfer of energy through the hips, generally the back leg is a little bit more forwards. That way you can get your hips up into it. And you still do a good job. Like it looks like this right leg is turning much better with the hammer. It's just there's a little bit of tension through the left side, and this left leg just straightens out so much. So like you're doing a better job of turning the right leg compared to the first turn. But this left leg straightens so much, or even higher on this left leg now. You can see you're rising up even more. Your hip height compared to the first turn. Leave my mouse where it is. Your hip height. So your hip height was about there. Now your hip height was there. So you're going up a little bit, even more than you were in the previous turn, which means you're rising up, you're giving to the hammer, you're kind of going to lose a little bit of that tension. So you got to kind of think about, in each turn, you're working through here, you're kind of like leaning back, hips up into the throw, and then as the ball goes around the left, think about dropping this left knee down. You can think about opening it up, spiraling it down towards the ground. You can think about dropping it forwards towards towards 180, but this left leg straightening out so much is kind of blocking you out to an extent, cutting off the rotation of the hammer, kind of. And so like right here, you need to go forwards onto that toe, that big toe, drop this left knee forward. So think like, if you're sprinting, and you do a sprint start, you need like a more of a shin angle, I guess, where if you look at your shin angle here, 90 degrees, but then as you go into the next turn, it kind of stays at 90 degrees. You need this left knee to drop. You need the shin angle to be more like maybe like 60 degrees or 45 degrees. So that way you can, like I said, drop into the throw, drop down, catch the hammer, because otherwise now, like I said, you start dropping with the hammer. You're not going to have a ton of tension on the catch, so you're going to have to kind of tighten up to fight against it. You can see the chest coming down with the hammer. I don't know if you have any focal points, if you're looking at anything specifically, if you maybe don't look at anything at all, which is totally fine. But perhaps trying to keep the head up, eyes up, might help prevent this chest from kind of crashing down a little bit right there. And then same thing, you have this really staggered stance here where this right foot's very forward. And then you can see your kind of chest comes down more here. Kind of coming forwards on this right leg. This knee coming forwards here, this right knee coming forwards is a sign that you're not getting enough tension backwards in the throw. And you can just see there's really no direction backwards with the upper body either. Left leg pulling open. Not much direction. But you're just getting pulled forward and you're turning with it and you're fighting through it, but doing 3 turns for probably maybe the first time or first few weeks, whatever. It's not going to be perfect, but so this is like really, I guess, almost overly critical, because I honestly, I don't think it's that bad, but you can see left side leading a little bit, right side with it being so heavy and kind of given to it, not much direction. It's like really trying to fight out of it, but it's just hard. And you can see some tension lifting up, shoulders kind of shrugging up towards the ears, left leg straight again, rising up with it, hip height real high. Same thing, you need this left knee to drop down towards 180. And then you see everything kind of comes down together. So you look at the feet, if you look at the knees, you look at the ankles, you look at the hips, everything kind of comes down together. And there's not much separation, there's not much tension, there's not much connection. Then you catch, you're going to see same thing, chest kind of comes down. And you just got to kind of pull yourself out of it. So this is a very upper body dominant throw. You can see your hips get up into it, but you can see the tension up in the upper body. It kind of comes from the shoulders first and the hips second, rather than the hips first and the shoulders second. And really, you shouldn't even see a lifting motion coming from the shoulders. It should just be a natural delivery all from the hips. But that's a very, very, for a beginner guy learning the 3-turn, this is very overly critical sort of analysis. But this is what I do. If you order a coaching membership, I start you off with an in-depth technical analysis. You have all the information. You could refer to this video for the next 3 years of your career, and it'd probably help you out. So, yeah, dude, if you have any questions, Dawson, let me know. I'm putting together your program right now, give you some drills to fix some of this stuff, and I'm excited to start working with you. Stoked, if you will. So if anybody else out there would like to work with me during the off season, sign up. All right, now, do it. Go. gripandrip.co. All right, so thank you for watching. Until next time, Sean Don signing off.